Water, Earth, Fire, Air. The animation in The Last Airbender and Legend of Korra is top-notch, leading to some very realistic fight scenes, minus floating rocks with your mind and whatnot. The fight scenes are so fluid in their movement that it becomes very easy to identify the different fighting styles and real-life inspirations for many of the things in the show, so today, we'll be breaking down just that. The first thing that I wanted to bring up was the basis of bending in the Avatar universe. Now obviously, bending isn't actually a real thing, at least not to the extent that we see in the show, but there are things about it that are based in reality. Something that is mentioned somewhat frequently in both shows is the concept of chi, or ki as some may know it. Chi is a mystical energy in many world religions, namely Taoism, that is similar in concept to the Force from Star Wars. It's an energy that exists within every living thing and non-living thing. It surrounds us and penetrates us, and man, that really does sound like the Force. There isn't much scientific evidence that proves that it actually exists, so it's mostly a pseudoscience, but chi is the basis of many martial arts forms, so it does translate into reality. Many martial arts forms involve maximizing the amount of energy thrown at a punch or kick, as well as making the most of the energy that is available, such as redirecting someone else's punch. Remember that because it'll be important later on when we talk about the actual martial arts. Before we get into any of that though, I want to talk about how bending works. In Avatar, bending works by the bender using their chi to move, say, water for example, without making physical contact with it. The way this works is that the chi inside the bender resonates with the chi in whatever element they are bending. It's a mix between physical strength and spirituality, though the spirituality part is more the Avatar's job, which we'll get into in a bit. There are actually people out there who claim to be able to bend the elements in real life, while some of these videos are either fake, placebos, or just a person moving in such a way that it looks like they're controlling the air. But there are some convincing videos out there, I'm not gonna lie. This one here is my personal favorite, and if it's fake, then it is very well done. Now I'm not saying that this is a real thing, as science has yet to prove or explain it, but for the sake of this video, let's assume that something involving chi is actually happening in these videos. The way people describe being able to do this involves feeling at one with nature. In the Avatar universe, the people are very much at one with nature. In the unaired pilot of Avatar, Aang describes the key to bending as drawing chi from in the earth and letting it pass through your body.
Listen, Kaya, here's the secret to bending. Energy comes from the earth, through your roots, and into your branches.
My roots?
Use your legs.
If this holds true for the actual series, then that means that the more time one spends in nature, the more powerful they're bending. Avatar excluded, because then spirits are involved and then things get confusing. This explains why many of the feats we see in the original show are much more impressive than in The Legend of Korra. Korra takes place in a more technologically developed setting, whereas Avatar takes place in small villages or out in the wild, where they are more connected to nature. Toph, for example, is considered to be the best Earthbender in the world because she is so connected to the Earth for obvious reasons. I'll just let the show do the talking.
I was able to learn Earthbending, not just as a martial art, but as an extension of my senses. For them, the original Earthbenders, it wasn't just about fighting. It was their way of interacting with the world.
Going back to the concept of chi for a minute, something that is related to chi is meditation. Many cultures around the world take meditation very seriously, and Avatar actually shows the many different meditations in the episode The Guru. In this episode, Aang goes to a guru to learn how to enter the Avatar state. To do this, they go through 7 meditations to open Aang's chakras. Chakras are a real-life concept that is related to chi. The show actually does a very good job at simplifying it.
The water flows through this creek, much like the energy flows through your body. As you see, there are several pools where the water swirls around before flowing on. These pools are like our chakras.
So, chakras are pools of spiraling energy in our bodies?
Exactly.
The 7 chakras in the show actually correspond to real-life versions of the 7 chakras. The first one in the show is the Earth Chakra, which deals with survival and is blocked by fear, which corresponds to the Root Chakra, which deals with basic things in life needed for survival. Both are about feeling safe and grounded. Both are located at the base of the spine, and the hand sign thing is the generic meditation sign that you've probably seen before in other media. Next is the Water Chakra, which deals with pleasure and is blocked by guilt. Its real-life counterpart is the Sacral Chakra, which deals with emotions and sexuality. It is located near the groin, so I think you can see why the show didn't give a location for that one. And the hand sign is folding the right hand into the left, like in the picture here. The third chakra is the Fire Chakra, which deals with willpower and is blocked by shame. In real life, the Solar Plexus Chakra deals with confidence and the ability to control one's life. Both are located in the stomach area and are about control. The hand sign is like a praying position, but the palms do not touch. Next up is the Air Chakra, which deals with love and is blocked by grief, and corresponds to the Heart Chakra, which deals with one's ability to love. Both are located at, you guessed it, the heart or center of the chest. The hand sign is a bit different from the others in that you do like this Italian hand on your chest. I had no better way to explain that. Next we have the Sound Chakra that deals with truth and is blocked by lies. The real-life counterpart is the Throat Chakra, which deals with self-expression and communication. They may not seem similar, but as the guru says in the episode,
and is blocked by lies, the ones we tell ourselves.
That's deep, my guy. Anyways, the hand signs are the left hand sitting on the right with the thumbs connecting to form a circle. The 6th chakra in the show is the Light Chakra, which deals with insight and is blocked by illusion. Its real-life counterpart is the most well-known, I'd say, the 3rd Eye Chakra, which deals with insight and visualization. This is why you see so many conspiracy theorists out there being like, open your 3rd eye, man, then you'll know the truth. Both are located in the center of the forehead, and the hand sign is probably the most complicated, so here's a picture of it. The 7th and final chakra is the Thought Chakra, which deals with cosmic energy and is blocked by earthly attachment. In real life, this is the Crown Chakra, which deals with wisdom and being one with the world. It is located at the crown of the head. The hand sign is probably the most simple of the 7 and is basically interlacing your fingers with the pinkies out. The reason I brought this up is because the whole point of Aang going to the guru was to learn how to go into the avatar state. Now, I'm not sure how popular this theory is, and I use the term very loosely, but the whole episode has some very heavy religious subtext. Like I said before, meditation and chakras are concepts in many world religions such as Taoism and Buddhism. We're going to be looking at Buddhism because of the end goal, if you will, is reaching nirvana. No, not the band. Nirvana is a state of higher being that can be achieved through intense meditation. In layman's terms, it's a state of being extremely woke. This draws heavy parallels to the Avatar state because both are achieved through meditation and are an enhanced state of being. They both deal with peace in different ways. While both require finding inner peace to achieve, the Avatar state exists to bring peace to the world. It's a nice little tidbit that the creators threw in there, and it adds a sense of believability to the Avatar universe. Now it's finally time to talk about some actual martial arts. Both Avatar and Korra show a bunch of different fighting styles, and if you see them side by side, it's a really cool eye-opener. Some of you out there might remember the Avatar creating the legends behind the scenes bumpers that used to air between episodes of the show, so this is where some of that information is coming from, but honestly they just read off Wikipedia pages. But for those of you who haven't seen it or just want to hear a more detailed explanation, let's start with air. The fighting style used by the Airbenders is known as Ba Gua, or circle walking. It is called circle walking because of the circular movements that one makes. It fits with airbending quite well, as airbending is all about circular movements, as we see with their symbol being a spiral shape. It's all about constant movement to make it hard for your opponent to grab you. We see this in the first few episodes of Legend of Korra with Korra's airbending training. It's one of the few martial arts out there that were actually designed to take on multiple opponents at once. If it's one thing that bugs me about fight scenes in media is when the protagonist is fighting a group of opponents, they attack one by one, which is super unrealistic. If you're fighting a group of like 7, they're not going to take you on one by one, they're going to gang up on you. They'll grab you and try to restrain you or attack from behind while you're distracted. This is why Ba Gua is useful. It makes it much harder for this to happen because you're constantly moving in a circular motion, preventing people from grabbing you and allowing you to see in all directions. Like you'll see with some of the other martial arts in this video, it's about redirecting your opponent's attacks as opposed to throwing your own, making it not reliant on physical strength and conserves your energy while tiring out your opponent. Next up is Waterbending, which is based on Tai Chi. Tai Chi, much like waterbending, is about the flow of energy throughout the body. Nowadays, it's used less as a martial art and is now more similar to yoga, but that concept of flowing energy remains. The point of Tai Chi is to not fight brute force with brute force, but rather to softly counter an attack until it is no longer as powerful and then strike. For example, say I throw a punch. A Tai Chi user could do multiple things, but what one could do is dodge the punch, and after the peak of the punch's power, as they're pulling their hand back, would be when they would strike. It's not something one would use to instigate a fight, as it's a very defensive martial art. This is referred to in the Cave of Two Lovers episode where Katara tells Aang to protect his core. Moving on to Earthbending, there are actually 2 different styles that we see. The first and most common is Hong Foo. Hong is a variation of Kung Fu that involves being strongly rooted to the ground. It is based around the user having stances that are very low to the ground, making it harder to move them. If you're just standing and somebody shoves you, you're likely to fall down. If you're in a Hong stance, it is much harder to move you. This is actually a perfect style for earthbending because one must be close to the ground and also internally focus their energy. It's much different from airbending or waterbending, which involve movement of one's energy. Hong and by extension earthbending are about focusing one's chi as opposed to letting it flow. We see this in the Avatar comic series where Toph teaches the metal bending students to focus their chi into their stomach. It also transitions well into the chakras that we mentioned earlier. If you remember, the root chakra, known in the show as the Earth Chakra, is about feeling safe and grounded, which is key to earthbending. The second style of earthbending is seen in Toph, who uses the southern praying mantis style. It is similar to Hong in that it is about focusing one's energy, but has a bigger emphasis on staying close to the ground. This translates well to Toph's character, who uses earthbending to see by feeling vibrations in the ground. When Toph was first introduced, Aang noticed that she is someone who waits and listens. We see in the wrestling ring that Toph doesn't throw the first attack. She stays right where she is and waits for her opponent to move. She analyzes what they're gonna do and then counters with a bigger attack. Southern Praying Mantis also focuses on close range attacks. As we see in Toph's fight against all the wrestlers at once, she doesn't move. She waits for them to come close to her, and then she hits them at close range. She doesn't physically punch anybody because obviously Earthbending is thrown into the mix, but Toph hits everybody at close range, as we see in the Blind Bandit fight scenes. Last but not least, we have Firebending, which is based on Northern Shaolin Kung Fu. It is a very agile and aggressive style, focusing on long range attacks and has a strong emphasis on kicking, which is really only seen in Firebenders. It is the opposite of Tai Chi and Waterbending in that while Tai Chi is mostly defensive, Northern Shaolin and Firebending are very offensive. Much like Firebending, Northern Shaolin relies on power through breathing. If you have the proper breathing techniques, your attacks can be much more powerful. Try throwing a punch without focusing on your breath. If you do it again, but quickly exhale as the punch goes out, you'll feel that it is more powerful. This is the basis of Firebending. As Iroh says in episode 1,
No, power in firebending comes from the breath, not the muscles.
it's a powerful style for a powerful element. I like how all the fighting styles that I've mentioned so far correspond to the elements in the show and the personalities of the users. Katara is very emotional and Tai Chi is a very merciful style. Toph is thick-skulled and stubborn, much like how Southern Praying Mantis emphasizes being rooted to the ground. It adds a sense of realism to the characters. We're not done with fighting styles just yet, as we see a few more in the Legend of Korra. Traditional martial arts are seen a lot less in the Legend of Korra in favor of more modernized fighting styles, likely to reflect the modernization of the world between the two series. While many of the characters in the original show stick to one fighting style, the characters in Korra combine many styles together in what we know as MMA or mixed martial arts. MMA fighters take the aspects that they like and find most effective from a variety of different styles to create their own style.
That's called soccer style. Learn it.
We also see aspects of modern boxing in the pro bending scenes. Mako, Bolin, and Korra are seen in standard boxing stances all throughout the series, but mostly in the pro bending scenes. I think Bolin explains it best when he trains Korra in episode 2.
That was great. Good power. But in a real match, you'd be a sitting turtle duck. Not so upright and flat-footed. Stay light on your toes, right up until the moment when you need to dig in and strike. Then, pop, pop.
While not a fighting style, we also see some breakdancing in the series. For example, when Korra is woken up by the Fire Sages in Season 2, she gets up by airbending herself around using a move called the windmill, which is common in breakdancing. There isn't much of it in the series, but I thought it was worth bringing up. So those are the real-life inspirations for many of the things that we see in the Avatar series. And if you found this video informative or interesting, I'd really appreciate if you left a like on this video. I don't promote it often, but I have a Twitter, so if you want to follow me on there, the link is in the description. Anyways, my name is Matt, aka Chunky Monkey Games. I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.